A good Thursday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ben Dery alongside meteorologist Tucker Antico. Welcome to Weather or Whatever is what we like to call it. We got 15 minutes of chat time to talk about all things weather today and maybe get a little off the rails as well. So
yeah,
welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back here again.
How was the morning show today?
It was good.
Yeah.
It's a nice start to the day.
So
it's comfortable outside, at least for now.
When you first started this week, you had it was just Alicia on the anchor desk. And Jason was off.
Yeah.
Alicia was gone, right?
Yeah, it's a little round robin. Yeah, it was Alicia,
one day with
Cece,
both of them.
And then we had the full morning, and now it's Jason, Cece.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Megan doing traffic Monday, Tuesday, but today I was the only one back there.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I guess it's a good day for that. I can kind of focus a little more.
Was there no traffic going on?
There was. Cece was just jack of all trades.
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a good morning, though.
Absolutely. Well, we do got to talk about some severe weather potential today, something we haven't had a lot of chance to talk about so far this month. It's been pretty quiet so far. We have a cold front working its way through far northwestern Minnesota, and this will help set the stage for potentially a couple of stronger storms later this afternoon and evening. So we do have a weather impact alert that's been pushed a little later than what we said yesterday. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. is sort of the window. It's kind of a condensed window of seeing some stronger thunderstorms. Main impact, large hail, but a couple of locally strong wind gusts are possible, and we just need to be more weather aware as we head into the evening hours today.
Yeah, definitely a drive time, get into those later hours of the evening commute. Something to think about.
Yeah, and one thing to note too is this is not going to be widespread heavy storms. In fact, we in the weather department were a little less concerned about this weather impact alert than others. So it's probably going to be one of those cases where not everybody's going to see a storm, but any storm that does get going, it could be a bit on the rowdier side, especially kind of early on that 5 to 7 o'clock window. Once we get closer to sundown, a lot of these storms will probably peter out a little bit. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. It's the severe weather outlook. Colors coordinated to different levels of severity. Green is a marginal risk for severe weather, kind of 1 out of 5 on the severity, and a slight risk, and that yellow is that 2 out of 5. And you can see it's a fairly narrow corridor that stretches from western Wisconsin through the east central part of Minnesota and the southwestern part of the state as well. It's kind of that northeast southwest oriented line because that's where that cold front will be lined up during the warmest part of the day when we expect those storms to kind of fire up.
Yeah, and it's that peak heating that's really key today, That's why it's looking more so on the later end of things, because we need all the energy we can get. And overall, the mid-levels of the atmosphere today are okay.
They're mid? It's mid?
Yeah, it's mid. The mid is mid. So we really got to rely on that heating we get during the daytime. And, we were talking this morning, if we see these showers, these clouds last for a little bit longer, because we're so reliant on that surface level stuff, that's going to really hurt the storms and help us.
Yeah. If we don't have all the ingredients necessary, we can't make the cake, right? That's kind of what we're talking about today. One thing that we are watching, kind of to get deeper into the weeds, is what's the wind profile doing? As you get higher up in the sky, there's like a little veering profile of the wind. We do have some lengthy photographs. It's basically a picture of what's happening in the winds as you get higher up. So there is potential for some stronger storms, but again, we do need that extra heat that unfortunately, I say unfortunately because kind of hoping for storms, right, sometimes, because we certainly could use the rain, but it just doesn't look like a great chance for severe weather. These are different severe weather threats and kind of what sort of elevation we're looking at. So small tornado risk, hail is the main risk that's elevated, and a low risk for some damaging wind as well, but that's kind of more spaced out.
Yeah, and that sort of more stable surface level stuff is part of the reason. I feel like a lot of times you have wind that's just, it's almost sort of a go-to. The wind is usually the highest category, but in this case with the slightly more stable lower levels, you don't have the same ability to drive that wind down to the surface. And we were talking about the tornado risk seems very, very low. It's I don't want to say shocking, but it's almost surprising that the Storm Prediction Center outlined it. But
well, they didn't have it yesterday, and they
Yeah.
just put it out there, I think, as just to be safe,
in case.
just in case,
Yeah.
because of the length of those photographs, where they could see,
storms should be rotating.
a quick spin-up tornado. But the problem that we're seeing is because we expect these storms to be a little bit more elevated. Like, there's not going to be, I don't know, it's tougher for a tornado to reach the ground in this kind of setup.
It's got to fight through a lot more. So that's obviously part of the reason. We were saying the photographs are a bit curved, so you could get a nice spinning storm, but it doesn't mean anything if it's spinning 4,000, 5,000 feet up.
Right. You need some lower cloud bases to see anything like that. Here's our radar satellite composite right now. Nothing super exciting, but you know what? We do have widely scattered showers around the region, and even a couple of thunderstorms in the northeastern corner of Otter Tail County. So that's up towards the Detroit Lakes area, moving closer to Park Rapids, eventually in the Brainerd Lakes area. We don't expect anything severe through the first half of the day. So a little lightning and thunder through that isolated cell. But the main front, the main lifting mechanism for the severe storm potential is still further north and west. And as that works its way deeper into the state, that's what's going to help trigger these thunderstorms. But we mentioned, the cloudiness and the showers, that kind of helps to put a lid on things, right, as far as our severe weather potential.
Yeah, we need, like we were saying, we need that heat from the sun today if we want storms to develop. Again, not necessarily us personally need, but that's what storms would need to get going. And if you have those clouds, obviously you're eliminating the amount of heat that you're going to get otherwise. And in that case, that could certainly work in our favor to keep storms from being as widespread, as strong.
And we want rain. We don't want severe weather.
Yeah,
That's really it. And you can really see where the front is based off of the wind shift over southeastern North Dakota and the far northwestern part of the state.
Yeah, look at that. You can see the surface low out there.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah, there you go, up near Lake of the Woods up there.
Flow,
Yep. So that's where the surface low is, and that's helping to drag that cold front further south and east. Out ahead of that front, you can see the wind is from that southerly direction. We had that high pressure system over us yesterday. That high is now off to our east. We're entering what's called return flow. As we saw a dry day yesterday with very low dew points. That's going to change today. The dew point's already starting to creep upwards, and with that return flow, we'll continue to see moisture kind of pull back into the region. Where we got dew points that were in the lower 40s yesterday, now already in the mid 50s. You had mentioned earlier that the dew points were climbing a little higher than well, they're quickly rising.
Yeah, there are only a couple spots. I think it was near Marshall where we had a 60 dew point at the start of the morning, 4 or 5 a.m. And you can clearly see they've ticked up. And those, even though we're talking a difference of 7 or 8 degrees, that makes a big difference when it comes to storms. And it's just that we were talking about too how narrow the corridor is for storms. You can kind of see just how narrow that moisture pooling is, that spot where you got dew points 60 to 65. It's part of the reason we're not looking at as widespread storms, and even the storms that develop should be pretty isolated, just with some of these limiting factors at play.
Yeah, that's not to say that we won't see any severe weather. It's just kind of the widespread nature of these storms. It's not going to be as widespread as, say, a better severe weather day. Let's check out our forecast model. This is Microcast. It's doing a good job of depicting some of those lighter showers that are across the region. These are all prefrontal showers, so not associated with the main cold front. And these will move through during the morning hours, including early afternoon here around the Twin Cities, helping to kind of limit our unstable air, or limit the instability from building up. So watch as we head deeper into the day, however. You'll see exactly where that cold front is. There it is. This is about 6 o'clock, and it's not super impressive. You can see a general line that stretches from the North Shore through St. Cloud and through the Wilmer or Marshall area. That's where the cold front is. That's where we expect storms to kind of initiate and then work their way south and east gradually. But you can see it's a pretty broken line. And this would probably be our window of seeing severe weather, especially early on in the evening. And you can see as we get closer to sundown in the hours beyond, it's again, pretty unimpressive stuff.
Yeah, and once the sun sets, again, you lose that daytime heating. That's like why the window's so narrow. Ingredients are there that, 1 or 2 of these may end up being severe at some point, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty small amount of coverage. If we're talking about how much space is covered by severe weather, at least, you could say pretty easily 90%, even more, are going to end up all right. but of course you got to respect the chance
Yeah, for sure.
of something occurring because we can't pinpoint exactly where they're going to be.
Yes, that's the trouble with these thunderstorms is we can forecast the ingredients that will be available to produce storms, but exactly where the severe weather hits, it's really tough to depict that. But the one thing we do know is that front will clear tonight, and you can see by early tomorrow morning we clear out, and it looks like pretty quiet weather as we head into the weekend. So mostly dry weather Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here's another look at that severe weather threat. Again, that slight risk for severe weather is kind of the area with the best chance of seeing a couple of hailers, and it does include the Twin Cities metro. And the window here in the metro is probably like 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Would that be a good window?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at earlier.
Yeah.
It's one of those two where it depends on how quickly that front can even initiate storms. But it does seem like 6 to 8 o'clock would be that time frame in the vicinity even.
Right. So it looks like they'd start off on a line from like Marshall to St. Cloud to Duluth and then work its way south and east with time. So again, 5 to 9 is kind of our window of seeing severe weather. And it looks like after sundown, especially I'd say after 9 or 10 o'clock, things will quiet down pretty quick. Outside today, we're seeing more cloudiness outside, but it does look like a pretty quiet start to the day. We will see a couple of stray showers, even around the metro, late morning into the early afternoon hours. Scattered stuff. We are seeing that isolated thunderstorm rolling through the central part of the state, but nothing severe is expected until later in the day. And again, that hit or miss variety of storms is pretty much expected.
Yeah, and we've been saying it. This is one of those tough ones to communicate sometimes because we're saying there is obviously a chance for severe weather, and you should be ready for it just in case, though ultimately the impacts will be lesser because so many people are missed. And you may get a storm, too, that isn't severe.
Yeah.
You get some rumbles of thunder. You maybe get some heavy rain for 20, 30 minutes or so. But the window here, as we've been saying, is small, and it should just be one round of storms. It's not one of those where sometimes you get a storm and you get a second and you get a third.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some little shower activity on the back end, but it's really all right along the front or right ahead of it that we're going to see things pop up.
And that front is pretty progressive. It's not something that's going to stall out and you see these recurring thunderstorms. So that clears out tonight. We'll see dry, comfortable conditions as we head into the upcoming weekend. Here is that weekend forecast for areas around the region. And you can see it's pretty seasonal. I mean, temperature's not going to deviate much day to day. We're talking upper 70s to near 80 pretty much every single day. A little cooler near Lake Superior, but otherwise inland locations look pretty gorgeous. So you can see pretty much rain-free. Is that still holding true all the way through, Friday through Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. Low humidity, rain-free. I mean, it's sort of a perfect air mass, you can say.
Yeah.
We're right about average. There's nothing
Yeah.
in the way.
Well,
I mean, obviously we need the rain. We're talking about Tuesday perhaps being the day next week once this sort of slides out of the area. But even Tuesday, I mean, it's pretty... There's a lot to be desired in terms of rain just on how it looks now.
There's a saying, when in a drought, don't predict rain.
Yeah.
So, you get people's
Words
hopes
to live
up.
by,
And that's kind of what we're at today. So a few evening storms possible today. You're going to feel more on the muggier side, especially later today as that return flow kind of pushes the dew points up a little bit. Not super muggy. I mean, we'll see dew points by the end of the day, low 60s?
Yeah, I was thinking like 62,
something like that.
63.
83, that might be generous if we have a lot more cloudiness around. So we'll see how warm we actually get today, but lower 80s seems like a pretty good bet. We'll see scattered showers along that frontal boundary move through from the northwest. A couple of rumbles of thunder. There is a chance for a couple of severe storms as well, but again, we're not super excited about that. We head into tomorrow, and look at that beautiful day outside. Maybe some fleeting showers up in far northern Wisconsin, but otherwise we should dry out for the most part. Pretty much all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, looking pretty good.
And it's funny talking about temps when a cold front comes through, only dropping by a degree or two, but you get that sometimes when you get the sun, you get the dry air on the back end, just have a larger range in those temps.
Yeah,
But it's a lot better than what we're going to see in the fall. When those cold fronts drop you 20, 30 degrees in one go.
Yeah, for sure, when the air is a lot drier outside. What's cool too is we saw this earlier this summer where it was a super humid day and we were forecasting temperatures up near 100 degrees. It only got into the lower 90s because it was more humid than forecast, because it takes more energy to heat up wet air than dry air.
And I remember when I was in Eau Claire, the wind made such a difference mixing down the drier air, and you could just soar above what guidance would spit out model data. that was a learning experience for me right out of college because on the East Coast you have so much more humidity out here.
Yeah.
Temps can really fly.
We don't have an ocean out here.
No.
But yeah, again, feeling a bit on the muggier side today. We dry out by Friday. Brief severe storm chance this evening, but nothing to write home about at least too much. Beautiful weekend taking shape, and then maybe a few isolated storms by next Tuesday. We'll have more news and weather right around the corner.